to say thank you to you because, tonight is our last teaching night. I know we have one more live streams next week, grand finale inside the gymnasium. I'll tell you more about it. But tonight is our last teaching night here in this room. And, so many people, and we've already thanked the cooks, but we got a bunch of people to thank tonight before I get with the teaching. And just wanted to thank, starting with Chris. You messed it up tonight, but it was your first mistake in a long time. This man has truly done so many things behind the scenes to create the right ambiance for us, from the music to the audios to the setup. I mean, he is all over the place, and so we need to really thank Chris Cutting right here. A part of his technical team goes way to the back, and we have two gentlemen who are always behind the scenes, but boy, do they make this whole thing run. We're talking about Doug Thompson and Scott Johnston. They run the video, YouTube, our website. Hey, let me tell you something. As time passes, you are going to really thank them more and more because the live streams website is just growing and growing each week with audios and videos, all for your edification, for your downloads. It's all free for you and for you to share with your friends. And as we enter into our third year next year, you'll realize just how much stuff is there for you and your children. So thank you so much, Doug and Scott. You guys make all of this possible. And of course, on this side, we have two people that continue to be refreshing to all of us. We have Trisha. She is truly a blessing and an inspiration to all of us, representing young moms, young ladies, fielding our text, making important comments, just being there. And also, of course, big part of what she does is she designs, produces, prints, distributes, and then presents those devotionals to you. So what a big part of live stream she is. That's Trisha Davies, everyone. And of course, we have David over here. And David, just so thankful that everything I ask him to do, he always just steps up, always willing to help. But not just helping, he just brings a unique contribution. As you all know, with all the theological insights, the riches of his wisdom with the life that he has lived, walking with God. Not only that, he participates in the prayer meeting, as you know, encourages us to write the prayers, to put in the red mailbox. And in fact, he designed and built that mailbox back there, okay? And so, David Ash over here, okay?
The table that said it's the beauty and the beast.
I did not, but it's true, okay? Well, we're not done because, of course, you got to look over there and you know the coffee tastes so much better because of those ladies over there. We've got Melody and we've got Stephanie over there. Now, we've really enjoyed the cart very much. Next week, it will not be set up. It'll be self-serve because we've got all kinds of things happening inside the gym. And, of course, Stephanie will be playing on the basketball team. And so next week is a lot of fun. But before we stop talking about the cafe ladies, we have to remember the cafe lady herself, Julie McCauley, who's with her son in the hospital. But let's clap real loud so she can hear it from Chalk, okay, at this time. Now, I correspond with Julie as well as many of you do, and her hope is that she might be able to sneak away. I know it's day-to-day, but her desire is to visit the basketball team, the game next week, and so we'll see. I mean, it's day-to-day, but it'll be great to see her. And I'm sorry?
What's the report today?
Well, we'll talk about that later because a lot of what's happening with Cole and the family is connected to our basketball game. And so after our teaching tonight, I'll talk about the game and how it's dedicated to Cole. In fact, the youth team, they call themselves Team Cole. And so I thought, hey, you guys are Team Cole? We're Team Julie, all right? And so it'll be Team Julie versus Team Cole next week. And I will give an update afterwards. And updates are posted on prayer chains and everything. It's just been wonderful the way all of you have been so vigilant with those updates as well. Okay?
Yeah, we do, actually. But first, there's another person that we need to thank for this program. There's another person that we need to thank that dedicates so much time that we have to say, Tay, stop writing, stop, just stop. You put so much time and effort and love into this ministry, and we are thankful to be a part of it. And thank you for blessing us with your knowledge and your topics and your life relevancy and your generosity and just everything that you portray for this, and thank you for being such a supporter of intergenerational ministry for the young families and the elders in this church. So I just greatly appreciate you, and I know we all do as well. So thank you very much. Thank you. Now you can start.
All right, let's get started. We've got important ground to cover tonight, and I also want to talk about the big game next week, because it's not just fun and games. It's a great opportunity to connect with the youth, and it's just so exciting when they get excited to be with us. Isn't that a part of the intergenerational experience? And so I want to save a little bit of time, and of course for you to interact. And so after our presentation tonight, we'll take your texts, your comments, get ready to write that down. But as you can see on the board, this is the last time you're going to see it until next season in September. That picture of that tree planted by the streams of water, and that passage, Psalm 1. That's the inspiration for our program. It's about the life of the blessed man or the blessed woman who is like a tree. I mean, blessed in the original Hebrew means happy. And the idea is his or her life is vibrant because, like a tree that's by the streams of water, his spiritual roots are tapped into the Word of God that comes into his life in a real way that just brings so many blessings, real-time applications that make his life that much better. So that's what we're about. And we have been presenting not random stuff, but ongoing series about things that you're interested in, whatever generation you are in hopes that God's Word becomes very real for you. And so we are about to close out tonight a very important topic called, anybody? In-laws. A topic that gets a lot of laughs, lots of jokes, but really, as you have seen, it's really not that funny because it's a topic that has created a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of fear. In fact, for a lot of people, the fear is so great, so over the top, in fact, a little bit out of control, irrational. And what do you call a fear that's way over the top, irrational, and just out of control? It starts with a PH. Phobia. Okay, remember we started with a pop quiz to talk about phobias, and so let's think tonight about some phobias. I'm going to show you a picture. You tell me what kind of phobia it is. What's that? Okay, fear of going to the dentist, right? That's called dentophobia. I didn't make that up. That's the actual name, all right? Dentophobia. Now, the next one I'm going to show you is, I actually have that fear a little bit.
Put your dessert forks down.
The next one is the #1 phobia in the whole world. We're going to sing about the whole world. It's not arachnophobia, okay? Not the eight-legged kind. Here we go. What is it? It's the fear of public speaking called glossophobia, okay? So those are two phobias. And what about this? Soceraphobia, what's that? It is the fear of in-laws, or technically, it's the fear of somebody above you, okay? And so that's the idea. So some of the symptoms are you get headaches, your heart rate goes up, some people get instantly depressed, or it triggers their depression, or they get very irritated or agitated. Okay, so we've been diagnosing Soceraphobia. And we started, and I'm not going to review all that because thanks to Doug and Scott back there, all of that is available to you through our website, livestreamsonline.net, including YouTube as well. So I'm just going to just show you the 4 points that we covered. And the point of these 4 points, go ahead and take a picture with your eyes, is that maybe it's not the in-laws at all. Maybe it's all in the couple, meaning they have a negative attitude, and etc. You can read it for yourself on the screen. And so, it's not the in-laws' fault. They can create Soceraphobia all on their own. So let's not automatically blame the mother-in-law or the father-in-law for everything. So wipe the blackboard. We're just reviewing real fast because tonight's our final installment. We want to get to some new stuff in a second here. So in part 1, we also looked at the in-laws and the parents too. And we said, you know what? Maybe it's not the couples. Maybe the in-laws do kind of stir things up. And there's 2 points on the blackboard there, that they can create pressures and obligations too. So you take the stuff that the couples generate, you take the stuff then the in-laws and the parents generate, and you take it all together, you mix it all together, and you got one very mixed up, dramatic situation that leads to the following symptoms. You've got a daughter-in-law / wife who is very angry, and usually she's the one with the Soceraphobia. Okay? Because Soceraphobia, although technically is a fear of in-laws, it usually is a dynamic between the daughter-in-law and who? The mother-in-law. So that's how it's usually understood on the streets. And so you got dynamic where she's vying for her husband's loyalty and affection. The mother feels disrespected, so she's vying for her son's affection. And then you got the father-in-law who's a little bit like Mr. Magoo, a little bit out of it and not knowing exactly what's going on. And then guess who's next? You've got, what's he called? The man in the middle, okay? So historically, you've got all these dynamics, but you got the classic situation of the man in the middle. And that's where we left off in part 1. And then in part 2, we began to ask the question, where did all this drama come from? And we confirmed that it started inside the mother's womb, because that's when the mother-to-be is already bonding with the baby, okay? So she's already feeling all the warm fuzzies about it. And so the parent-child dynamic is already stirring inside her. In fact, experts call it what? What do the experts call this relationship between the parent and the child? The parent-child relationship, okay? And so that's a dynamic where the parent, listen, the parent remains a parent. Underline the word remain. That's the idea. The child remains the child, and therein lies the seeds of future problems. And so as she's bonding inside the tummy, even when the baby is born and grows up and becomes really big and even taller than the mom, the point is she doesn't want to let go. That's the parent-child dynamic that is at play. And so way before she becomes a mother-in-law, she's already developing kind of the wiring of a mother-in-law. So she doesn't want to let go. And so on the wedding day, she's got all kinds of mixed feelings, okay? She's happy, but she's also a little bit angry that another woman is in her son's life. And so all of those things are at play. So what are we going to do? We've got all this drama. And so that's where, you know what, actually we didn't end there. In part 2, we actually started talking about the biblical solutions, and we said, leave the old chapter behind, okay? And with that, we talked about how you can't enter the new chapter without everyone. That's why the word together, you should underline. Everybody's got to leave the old chapter. We looked at Genesis 2 and a bunch of stuff. Again, it's on YouTube. It's on our website. I'm not going to review. Let's get to new stuff, okay? The new stuff here picks up where we left off with number 2. Now you got to manage the new chapter together. Assuming you followed number 1, which is leaving, now you've got to manage the new life chapter together. Now, this general strategy here, again, is very simple, although it's hard, I know. Easier said than done, right? That's the saying. But the point is, you got to all together get into. And so from this point on, I'm going to talk about togetherness, how everybody's got to move in that direction together. So as you carry your wife over the threshold, okay? It can't be just you and the new missus. It's got to be both sides of the parents. Did you get that? Let's do it again. Both sides of the parents. One more time. Both sides of the parents. They got to be part of the process of going over the threshold. I know they're not carried over the threshold, but you know what I mean. They got to go over and enter into the new chapter together. Everyone's got to do it. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean when I say you got to all manage or go into this new threshold together? This is what I'm talking about. Look at the screen. You got to manage or make your own marriage the priority. How many marriages are we talking about right now? 3. They got to manage or make their own marriage the priority. Don't focus on the other person's marriage, okay? Focus on your own marriage. That is the biblical strategy here. Everybody's got to do with it. That's the togetherness. So the other marriages become secondary. Doesn't mean it's not important. It's just secondary. I'm talking about prioritizing here. And whenever you prioritize, what's number 2 or 3 or 4 is not necessarily unimportant. We're just saying number 1 is number 1. Number 2 is still important, but it's number 2. And so that's the idea here about prioritizing. And all sides must focus on their own. And now watch. Take a look at the screen. I'm going to say that the men in the relationship must set the pace. How many men are we talking about? Okay. We're talking about 3. Take those 3 men out of the background picture, extract it. Let's do it again. Take those 3 men in the background and bring them out into the forefront, and they become the 3 men. Why? Because the Bible, it's just not my opinion, the Bible talks about the man being the spiritual leader. It's not because the man is any better. Okay, everybody knows that's not true. Okay? It's not because he's better. It's just simply because God designed it that way. Okay? The man is a spiritual leader of the home. And so the 3 men must manage. Okay, so let me put that on the screen. The 3 men must manage their own marriages. And because this is technically not a marriage seminar, I can't get into all the details. Maybe in the future, okay? Let's take a rain check on that. A future, I'll do a series on how the management actually occurs. But the reason why I'm using the word manage tonight on the screen is because there is a classic verse that makes it clear. Anybody know which verse I'm talking about? It's 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 4, where it says, he must manage his own family well. And so the 3 men must focus on their own managerial responsibilities, their own marriages. And when you do that, it lessens the drama. Because drama builds when you what? Get into each other's marriages, right? Get into each other's situations. That's when the drama builds. But when you focus on your own marriages, that's when the problem begins to lessen. Okay? So take, for example, the man in the middle. He is torn between all different situations, right? So he's in the middle and he wants to please his wife. He wants to please his mother. And so he is just totally caught in the middle and just torn between 2 different situations, right? And so he's got his wife on one side, he's got his mom on the other side, and he is what? The man in the? And so what's he going to do? I'll tell you what else he's going to do right now. Again, listen. Not my opinion. He's stuck in the middle, and he is going to be pulled apart. What does he have to do? Watch. He has to slide over. Whose side? To the wife's side. Because I've already said, prioritize your own marriage. So you're pulled in both directions. What do? Slide. Okay? Let's do it again. Pulled in the middle. What do? Slide over. And so tonight is about the theology of sliding, okay? You slide over to your own marriage and you focus on that. And so that's the big issue with the man. He comes into counseling, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, and he's just confused. He doesn't know what to do. And I'm saying to that man, what? Slide over, okay? I'm not saying it's easy to slide over, okay? I'm saying slide over. I already said last week, nothing's hard, it's all hard. But slide over, because that's the commitment you made before God and all his people on the wedding day. That you would love and honor and cherish, and you give yourself, commit yourself, and that's what the ring symbolizes. And so you slide over to your wife. And again, if this was a marriage seminar, I would take another hour explaining the whole theology of sliding over and what that practically means. We just don't have the time to do that. Tonight, all I can do is just lay it down and saying this is about sliding, okay? Slide over to this side. I know there's going to be trouble, but you got to slide over, and you got to, it just reminds me, I was in counseling, right? And this one guy was telling me about a really tense situation with his mother, where his mother was just pressing him and saying, okay, you side with your wife. Okay, you are no son of mine. Okay? You decide. And then do you know what he said? He said, Mom, don't make me choose. Don't make me choose, because you know where I'm going to go. That was a tough situation. I don't believe everybody is in that tough situation. Most people have good relationships. But if you are in even that type of dramatic situation, you got to say, don't make me choose. Because even if the choice is hard to make, you still have to make the right choice. We're talking about sliding over. And one example, I'm just going to give you one example as far as a general principle of sliding over involves protecting your wife, okay? Because sliding over is about expressing loyalty and, in this case, protection. Because in-law relationships with all its tensions and what have you is a very dangerous, it's kind of a volatile situation where things can blow up anytime, right? There's a lot of sensitivities, potentially a lot of hurt feelings, and the husband must protect his wife in those situations. And I'm not saying all in-law dynamics are like that, but when it comes to situations like that, he's got to understand that the man is designed by God to protect his wife. I get that from many passages in Scripture. Again, this is not a seminar on manhood, but if it is, I would have shown this as one of the key verses. In 1 Peter chapter 3:7, it says, Husbands, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the, what kind of partner? What kind of partner? Now, I know you don't want to say that word, ladies, because it sounds offensive, right? Weaker partner. Okay, now, ladies, don't get too offended, because some of you ladies I know are much stronger than your man. You can take down your man anytime. I know that. Kick his skinny butt. I know you can do it. But you got to understand, this verse is not saying you are weak. It's a comparative term. It's a generality that says, in general, God created man stronger and created women weaker. It's not saying every woman is weak, okay? So what's the point here? The point is, if a woman is weak, you got to treat her like fine china. It's not that she is weak, but that's the mindset that you have to bring into the relationship. And so she's like delicate fine china, although she's not. But that's the type of dynamic it is when you have to slide over and protect her from dangerous situations over there. And so part of the process of sliding over involves protection, because God has designed you to protect your weaker partner, not because she is weak, but that's the mindset you bring into it. So, for example, in extended family situations, big social gatherings, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, you get together, and if it's not her side of the family, sometimes it gets very sensitive. Sometimes it feels like she does not have home court advantage. You know what I'm talking about? She goes into a situation, and now, if it's not her family, she might feel like, like she's... I don't know what the word is, but the point is the mother-in-law, the sister-in-law, and everybody else might feel more empowered to say things, do things in a way that would hurt the daughter-in-law. You know, sometimes, and this happens all the time, you get into these large extended family social gatherings like Thanksgiving and what have you, and it's just like Cinderella, right? the stepmother, and then you got Anastasia and Drusilla, the wicked stepsisters, right? And then the daughter-in-law is Cinderella, who's treated like second class. And so she's constantly put down, and even the cat treats her bad, okay? And so you got all these things happening, and it's the job of the man to protect his wife, to side with her, because how many times, let's be honest, have there been those situations where on the car ride back home, the wife gets upset and says, hey, why didn't you stand up for me? When your mom said this, and that, why didn't you say something? And so that's where a lot of the hurt feelings come about. Okay? And so the wife needs to be protected. Criticism will come her way, but he has to slide over, right? Even if, listen, even if the criticism of her is valid, I'll make it very clear tonight. Even if the criticism of her is valid, you still need to protect her. Why? Because public slander is always wrong. You don't publicly criticize somebody and say, hey, I'm just speaking the truth. Okay, I'm just being honest. No, you're being brutally honest, and that's not right. So even if it's correct, you don't do that. You don't publicly slander somebody, because you know what? If you hurt somebody or ruin somebody's reputation, here's my point. How are you going to fix that reputation later? It just makes it hard for her to enter or continue to come to social events. And next thing you know, she doesn't want to come to Thanksgiving anymore. Those things play out. And by the way, that works the other way around too. And by the way, women are more guilty. Not saying the man is better. I'm just saying women talk more. Okay? So women tend to be more guilty of public slander, because every time her husband does something wrong, what's the temptation? Call mom, right? And talk about all the things that he's done wrong. And he does something else wrong, what does she do? Call her sisters. And so as she does that, what happens to the guy? Okay? The guy feels like he can't go to any social functions. Why? Because the mother-in-law is mad at him, and all the sisters are mad at him too. And so those things are at play. And I'm going to say it again. You do that, how are you going to fix his reputation later? And so all of these things, protection works both ways. And so all of these things must be kept in mind as we try to understand what it means to slide over. I said sliding over involves protection, right? So take a look at the screen. Love always protects. And so that's the idea. That's a very important biblical principle. You putting these things on Facebook? Love always protects. 1 Corinthians 13:7. That's a good one to put on Facebook and have all the people click like. Because we got to understand, when we're talking about relationship, if you really love somebody, you better protect that person's reputation. Okay? And don't say things that would hurt that person. All right. So let's wipe the board. That's what we've been talking about. The three men managing their own marriages. Okay? Focus on that. Manage his own family well. 1 Timothy 3. And I'm almost done here, so get ready to send in your comments as well. But we can't finish without saying women too. The three women must focus on their own marriages. Now it's getting tough, huh? The three women must focus on their own marriages. So I'm going to say it bluntly, okay? I'm going to be Captain Obvious right now. Stop talking about the other marriage, okay? Talk about your own marriage. Focus on your own marriage. No more mother-in-law's tongue, okay? No more sticking out the tongue and saying all the things. And I know you have well intentions, you're concerned, but you know what? No more mother-in-law's tongue, okay? So everybody do this. Everybody put your hand over. Let me see your hands. Everybody, come on now. I can see all of you. Put your hand over your mouth, okay? No more mother-in-law tongue. That's what we're talking about. Now everybody ready? Everybody do this. Everybody stick out your tongue, okay? Stick out your tongue. All right. Come on, stick out your tongue. All right? Let me see all those tongues hanging right now. Okay? Stick out your tongue. And I'm going to say, ready? And I say go. I want you to bite down really hard. Ready? Set. All right. Here's my point. Scripture is filled with direct commands to bite your tongue. Now, it doesn't use that modern language, bite your tongue, but it uses the word restraint. And it's the same idea, bite your tongue, okay? And I'm going to have to take a rain check on a future series on communication where I'll give you all those verses about biting your tongue. So a question was posed last week, Tricia, you remember that question about, so the mother-in-law who was struggling about the feelings, right? And how do you overcome a lot of these feelings? Well, that's a long journey, Tricia, but I'm going to say the starting point is bite your tongue. You got to start there because you got to stop talking. Even though you're concerned, even though you care, bite your tongue. You got to focus on your own marriage there. Okay, we don't have time to do any software management right now. Bite your tongue, okay? That's the biblical principle. Even if it's at the tip of your tongue, bite your tongue. We'll go over all those verses in the future, all right? So everyone, we got to all behave ourselves. 3 men, 3 women. I think that covers everyone, right? And so in our final installment, we're almost done. 3 men, 3 women, manage your own marriages, focus on your own marriages. Now don't overreact, okay? Don't overreact to what I'm saying. Because some of you might get offended and say, what? How are we going to express love to one another? How are we going to express concerns? Are you saying come please butt out and stay out? No, that's not what I'm saying. Even if you were here last week, you know that's not what I was saying. But I'm talking about priority. I'm not talking about abandoning each other, right? I'm talking about priority. And so, we got to balance it out by bringing in our last point. Number 3. Respond to life chapter challenges together. You know, things happen to all of us. You know, when that happened to Cole, it was just such a slap on my face. I can't believe it. I'm still like almost in denial. I can't believe it. Things happen to us, whether we're young or whether we're old. I can't believe it. But so life is filled with so many things, and your life, my life, I know Cole is going to pull out of this. It's just amazing to me that he is stage 4, but yet he is just making such progress. But the point is, life is just up and down like a roller coaster, right? It's up and down with so many things. And so there's no such thing as living happily ever after, okay? I know Tricia worked for Disney, but there's no such thing, right, as happily ever after. I know we want to believe it. It's not true. Don't cry, Tricia. Okay. And so my point is we got to be there for one another, okay? We got to be there for the extended family. Sometimes young people get sick. Sometimes older people get sick. Things happen. Financial crisis, physical challenges. We have to be there for one another. And so God forbid that we abandon the extended family. You know, some couples, you know, they think when they get married, you know, they jump in their car, tin cans are rattling, and they take off and go. They think, you know, it's over. I mean, they're gone. Let me say right now, I did say once you get married, it is leaving. But I'm going to say something right now. If you're taking notes, you better write this down. Okay? Maybe you want to put this down, Chris, on the Facebook. Leaving is not abandonment. Leaving is about just creating a new family. But you don't abandon your family. That's wrong. That's always wrong. In fact, 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8 makes it very clear, and I'm going to read it for you. It's not on the screen. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, that's the extended family. That's in-laws. And especially for his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. That's pretty strong words, but it's very important words. And so it's about returning the favor. Parents take care of kids. When kids grow up, they got to return the favor. That's how life works. That's the circle of life. You take care of kids, you pour your hearts into them. You grow old, your kids are supposed to honor you by taking care of you. That's the circle of life. And that's how it ends. And, you know, for young people to just get in their cars, tin cans rattling, and drive away, that's wrong. Okay? That can't be right. And so as we think about those things, here's my point. You got to allow for special circumstances. Although I've emphasized that once you're married, you should leave the family, there are special circumstances where maybe you have to live together for a while. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be complicated. It's going to be dramatic. But sometimes it's necessary, maybe for a temporary period of time, or maybe in the final chapter of life. I mean, let me say it this way. Take a look at this picture. This is a picture of Jesus in his dying moments. And the man that's looking up is John, the Apostle John. And you remember that famous situation that here is Jesus in the most critical moment in redemption history, as he is about to give his life as a ransom for many. But yet he looks down at his mother. And he sees his mother. And John chapter 19, verses 26 and 27 says, when he saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, that's John. He said to his mother, dear woman, here is your son. But that's not biological son, but watch. And to the disciple, here is your mother, not biological mother. From that time, this disciple took her into his home. And so, this is pretty complicated. Jesus is hanging on the cross about to die. John is not biologically related. Mary is Jesus' biological mother. But now, John becomes son-in-law to Mary, mother of Jesus. And Mary, the mother of Jesus, now becomes the mother-in-law of John? That's a little crazy. But that's beautiful. Because in that situation, even in the dying moments, Jesus wanted to make sure his mother was taken care of. That's honor, even in the final moments. Does that make sense? It's very important to keep in mind. So special circumstances, and boy, isn't that a special circumstance? Very complicated, but now John becomes a son-in-law to the mother of Jesus. So all of these things are at play, and my point is, as I close, that we don't know how life is going to play out. There's the immediate family, there's in-laws there. We don't know how it's going to play out. Things might not play out as you expect it to. But the point is, no matter what happens to you, you better be good to one another. No matter what you go through, be good to one another. Because even if you are not related, there is still the general principle in Galatians 6:9 and 10, and I'll close with this verse. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. And so this is a do-good principle to the household of God. Okay? Let's be there for one another. People go through hard times, just like you guys rally around Cole. Be there for one another. What a beautiful thing. And here's my point. If you do that for one another in the church, how much more should you do that for your immediate family and your parents and your in-laws? And so with that, I just want to give thanks to God for a wonderful second year at Livestreams. It's been this and that with so many things, but boy, if you go to our website, you will see we have gone through so many series, and God has blessed us from last September until now. And so I just want to give praise to God for all the series that we covered, and even this one tonight. It's about in-laws, but it's about marriage too, isn't it? It's about manhood. It's about responsibility. It's about doing good to all people. And so may God bless you as you continue to learn in God's Word. We're not done. We're going to now interact. So let's take a couple minutes before our prayer meeting. And if we have any texts, if you guys have any written down comments or questions. I like to hear comments. If you got wonderful in-law relationships, just write that down. That's all I want to hear. Tell me you got a wonderful in-law relationship. Go ahead and do that. The cafe ladies will come and collect that. But let's turn it over to David. You got the mic in your hands, David.
You mentioned biting tongues. And obviously the time of crisis is the family gathering. I mean, that's when you're going to have bad comments made. But you quoted 1 Peter 3:7 that says, hey, the husband takes the side of the wife, protects him.
Uh-huh.
If you'd gone down 2 more verses, as you well know, there's the biting the tongue verse. Don't return evil for evil or insult for insult, but instead of blessing. So that's the responsibility of the wife once he moves over.
Mm-hmm. Also, since you brought up the social situation and the heat of the moment and those times when things happen, usually those times are not good times when there's so many things going on. That there are a lot of verses about waiting until the right time. And maybe that Thanksgiving dinner is not the right time. Maybe that's a time to be more cordial and nice. If you have something serious to say, maybe you should go out for coffee privately, just between the two of you, huh? That's Matthew 18, okay? All right. So, Tricia, you grabbing the mic?
Sure.
Okay.
I can kind of talk again, so I might as well use it. Oh, yeah, I'll have one of those.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in-law relationships. What a blessing for me, anyways. I'm sure I mentioned this before, but I'm very thankful for my relationship with my in-laws. Hopefully, John doesn't feel like the man in the middle too much. Getting kisses on both sides, huh, Bear? John.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a good thing, that relationship. We do have a comment, but it's not related to in-laws.
Okay.
It says, are you training for the game? Because let's make Soma work for the game.
Are we training for
Are we adults training for the game? Because let's make Soma work for the game. That's what it says.
You better train on your own, okay?
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of time. The game is next week.
I know.
And so
Practice.
What was really interesting was Julie is, I got to tell you this story. Julie texted me today, and she said she told Cole about the basketball game. Might as well, I can transition to this, and then we can talk about prayer, because I do want you to pray for Cole. Is that she told Cole about the basketball game, and it's going to be against youth versus adults, and a big deal and everything. And Julie actually said she hopes Team Julie will win, and so all of that. And Cole just started crying and crying. And Julie was so caught off guard. She said, what's wrong? And he says, I can't believe I'm missing the game. I want to be there so bad. And he just started crying and crying. So Julie picked up the phone, and she texted me. And she was just so disturbed that she always calls him the little guy. The little guy is so crying because he can't be at the game. Can you please videotape the game so he could at least watch it afterwards? And I texted right back and said, no, I'm going to do one better. We are going to live Skype you in. You are going to be the coach of the youth group team. And you're going to be videotaped. We're going to put Cole on the big screen. And he's going to be Coach Cole. And he's going to call the timeouts, and he's going to sub in. And all the junior hires have to say to Cole, put me in, coach. And so Julie responded back and said Cole was so happy that he could be part of this basketball game. So as you can see on the screen, special guest coach, Coach Cole, via Skype. And so as you pick up your dinner, there will be a donation table that you can donate towards Cole. Next week, the McCulley family, for all the surgeries and things he goes through. But you will also, right by the donation table, we're going to put a big screen, and you'll be able to say hi to Cole. No promises, Lord willing. I hope he's up to it. He's day to day. But that's our goal. Our hope is also that Julie will be there with us that day just to say hello to us. And so that's our desire. But again, day to day. So take a look at the screen next week. Dinner in the bleachers. And so it's just going to be like the whole stadium experience. Please come dressed in your sporting gear, your favorite sports team. Dinner in the bleachers. You might remember last year we did that with ice cream and hot dogs and hamburgers. Wonderful experience. Game music, donation, Skyping with Coach Cole, prizes for everyone. And I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking, I can't play basketball. But we've got tons of gift cards and prizes. During halftime, we're going to have free throw shooting contests. And I want all of you guys to come down off the bleachers. You make a basket, you get a gift card. All right? And so we've got prizes to throw at you next week. For the little kids, it's just going to be a wonderful finale to live streams. And as you can next week, look through the basketball game and the food, you will see what's really behind that. And that's the vision of an intergenerational ministry where we, no matter what age and what life chapter, we are together. And that's what it's about, okay? Artist, you wanted to make a comment.
Donations. If we make a check, who do we make it out to?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't know who we make it out to. Is there a... Okay, Covenant.
I think we're using the St. Stephen's Fund to assist them. Is that correct, Betty?
Okay.
Yeah, so make it out to Covenant.
I was told don't put their name on it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so make your check out to Covenant Presbyterian, however you would, and then in the notes section on the check, just put for the Macaulay family, and then that way we can deposit into our St. Stephen's Fund, and then as they need those funds, we can distribute those to them that way.
You guys have been wonderful with the 5K, with your donations. This is the last time I'm going to ask you before summer break. Please bring money for dinner, and please give cheerfully to the Macaulay family. There might be, and I'm not sure about this, there might be a separate donation box for the youth summer mission trip. But it's up to you which one you want to donate to. But go ahead and look for the donation table, and may the Lord lead you as how you want to give. But tonight will be a prayer meeting in about a minute. Next week, there's also a prayer meeting, and then the prayer meeting changes to 7 o'clock. So we'll keep you updated with all the schedule changes, but tonight, we still need to pray about a lot of things, okay? Lots to pray for, so you want to fill that out, put it in the back, you still have a chance. But thank you so much. Let's give thanks to God. This is our last teaching session for the second year. Thank you, Lord. Praise Him for all that He has done.